He is officially here, the man, the myth, the legend, the number one prospect in all of baseball, Roman Anthony, and he leads a list of himself and 9 other names, 5 prospects, and 5 injured players on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominick Martino, here as always with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ahne. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you are watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you do that for us as well. And lastly, and what's going to put you over the top in your fantasy league, join Matt and I on the Insiders Track, where you're going to get those instant call-up notifications when prospects like Roman Anthony get called up, and so much more than we could offer in these 30-minute podcasts. So check us out once again on the Insiders Track. Link is in the bio if you're listening, watching, and available on any of our social media platforms. And this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. And all right, Matt, once again, dude, prospects getting called up left and right. Yesterday we had Kyle Teal. It's Roman Anthony today, number one prospect in all of baseball. Matt, I don't know if there's been a year like this in the past 5, 6, 7 years where these top prospects getting called up, but today we get the number one prospect. And Matt, let's talk about him, my brother.
Yeah, I feel like we're in September right now. It's just like prospect after prospect after prospect. And I mean, Roman Anthony getting the call up for the Boston Red Sox playing outfield is just exciting. This year, before getting the call, obviously 212 at bats, 45 runs, 9 doubles, 2 triples, 10 bombs, 29 ribs, 3 stolen bases, 51 walks to 56 strikeouts, batting .288, an OBP of 423, a slug of 491, and an OPS of 913. And if you don't know anything about Roman Anthony, let me clue you in. Hit tool of 40 out of 45, game power 55 out of 70, raw power 70 out of 80, speed 55 out of 50. Kid is lights out and has a good glove. I like the kid a lot. There's a reason why he is the number one prospect in baseball. That power is going to show. He reminds me of the next Mookie Betts. Like, straight up, it has all the feels of being called up on the same team. You know, the power, the speed. I see a lot. Like, when I say speed, right, like 20 stolen bases, I don't think I'm going to be like, okay, cool, this kid's like the next Ronald Acuna. But 20 stolen bases, going to be able to hit for power. I think on a team that is on the up. They called up Mayer. They called up so many other players. And now they also have, Devers and such that I think they're going to make a push. So I think Roman Anthony's in a good spot to be going. He's already 60% ad since the call up. By the time you even hear this, he might even be, 80% owned. But in all leagues, he needs to be added, whether you're in a 2-teamer, a 4-teamer, 85-teamer. Roman Anthony just needs to be added because he's just going to be a difference maker in your roster. We've been saying it for weeks, stash him, stash him, stash him. Here's your time. He's now up. The next big thing in baseball, I think, is about to be here.
Yeah, Matt, great call on Roman Anthony. And the Red Sox already trust him a lot as we're recording here on Monday. Excuse me.
Almost threw up on camera.
Yeah, he's already hitting 5th in the lineup. If that doesn't show the trust that the Red Sox have for the 21-year-old, I don't know it does. Matt read off those monster stats from this year already. Last year in 119 games, 454 at-bats. Anthony had 93 runs, 32 doubles, 4 triples, 18 homers, 65 RBIs, 21 steals with 79 walks, 227 strikeouts, 291 batting average. Like you said, Matt, great call. I don't think the speed is that blow you away kind of speed, but he's the kind of guy, stealing is more of an art. And if you want to steal bags and you have the speed that Anthony does, he can. I wouldn't put, like you said, 20, 25, maybe on a high end, maybe 30. But I think he has 30 upside. I think that's closer to the ceiling, with a great batting average. A lot of runs and RBIs, hitting 5th in that Boston lineup. Matt, you talked about Mayer. They also got Campbell over there. Duran is having an all right year. It's a pretty solid team. Even Ceddanne Rafael has been hot of late. So it's a pretty solid team, and I think Anthony's going to do very well. Once again, it's a very, very much so pause the podcast moment. Make sure Roman Anthony is not available in your league, and if he is, you pick him up, and you got a great high upside add there to your team. Matt, as we move through prospects here, I think we just stay in the top and we go from number 1 to number 2. We do our Bubba Chandler update. We were doing our Roman Anthony updates. He's been on the show a lot, but for good reason. So, once you guys saw he got called up, it's an easy pickup. You already know the name. But once again, we're going to familiarize again. If you're not familiar with Bubba Chandler, Pittsburgh Pirates starting pitcher. Look what they did with Skeens last year. Chandler has the same opportunity to come up this year, around the All-Star break time and do the same type of stuff. 12 starts for Chandler this year, 2.49 ERA, 50 innings pitched, 70 strikeouts, 22 walks. Batters are hitting 192 against him, a 113 whip. The control's always been the thing there with Chandler. It's looking a little bit better this year, taking a step in the right direction. He's got good stuff. It's a very big fastball. That tops out around 99, 100. He sits at 97 on average. A good slider. Would love to see him develop that changeup or curve a little bit more just to, finish off that repertoire of his. But he's a very, very good, young starting pitcher. We love what the Pirates do. They eventually trade everybody away, but, they have the track record with Cole, Glass now. As I said, Skeens. Just a very good track record of developing talent over there, especially high-end talent, and Bubba Chandler's no exception. I want to say, let's check out where he's owned on Yahoo, because it's almost time to start thinking about stashing a guy like this, especially in deeper leagues. If he's, I typed in Chandler Simpson, another guy I'm super excited about. We're looking for Bubba Chandler, not Chandler Simpson. 32% owned on Yahoo. So I'm telling you guys, it is time to at least start thinking about it, considering it, especially if you're in a situation where you're in first, second, or third in your league. Maybe you're starting pitchings, taking a little bit of a hit. Maybe your hitting's been carrying you. But guys are thinking about stashing.
Yeah, I mean, Bubba Chandler is always somebody, there's always the risk with pitchers too that come up and they do the exact opposite of what we expect to. I like Bubba Chandler a lot. Everything you said is pretty much on point. The upside is unreal. So I kind of want to get it. I don't think he's going to be an instant translation like we saw with Skeens. There might be some growing pains with him. He's not the
the control's not as elite.
Right. And that's the key part. So we're going to have our ups and downs, but what I could probably say is we could probably see more of like a Blake Snell kind of rookie season where there's going to be some spectacular games with high strikeout numbers, and then some incredible games where we look at, and oh my God, what'd you do to my ERA for the week? So it's going to be give and take with Bubba Chandler until he kind of like figures it all out. If he adds that changeup, I think it's going to make things a little bit more, more sexy for him as well. Let's move on. Let's look at Bryce Eldridge of the San Francisco Giants. He's 4% owned, and he's an interesting one. He plays first base, and he has an interesting hitting repertoire, right? 45 game power out of 60, 60 raw power out of 80. Speed really doesn't match up to his performance, so we're not going to really acknowledge it, but he does have a good glove. Over this year across two different platforms, he just got promoted to AAA. In AA, he had 125 at bats. He had 14 runs, 8 doubles, 7 bombs, 20 ribs, 13 walks to 39 strikeouts. Doesn't really steal bases, hence why I didn't want to mention the speed, even though they have him as a higher grade speed, which I'm not buying into. Batting 280 through AA, OBP of 350, slug of 512, an OPS of 862. Gets promoted, isn't performing up to par as we'd like, right? Like he's batting 176. He has a home run through that time though, but it's 17 at bats, so there's still time to grow. He just got there. With Bryce Eldridge, I like him. He's shown off power in 24. He had 23 home runs through 446 at bats. Of course, across a couple different teams and levels, going all the way from A to AAA, and making his thing. Obviously, couldn't stick in AAA, hence why they sent him down. But he's back up. I think they're going to push to kind of get him up to see what they got in him. So he's imminent, but he's not a guy I'm truly stashing, right? Like he's a guy I'm going to wait, I'm going to watch, and if he gets a call up, I'm gonna do a speculative ad, right? But this is more of like 12 to and higher leagues. I'm not doing this like 8 and 10 man league where I'm stashing him. He kind of just needs to be watched and seen what he can do. But if he gets call up, he might be worth it, especially on a week where there's low hitters and things like that. Coming up next, Dom will be able to tell you his opinion of Bryce Eldridge. Then we'll start talking about Thomas White of the Miami Marlins and Justin Crawford of the Phillies and what to do with them. When do we expect them coming up? All coming up next. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for skilled traders, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with the complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always speak to a real person. And for those trade pros looking for an edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now is your turn. Join the Trade Master program today and supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. And okay, look, you want a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast? Get in on that inside track and become a member of the Diamond Club. Look, you want those prospect call-ups? You want to know when Roman Anthony's getting the call? Obviously, you missed out because you weren't there. But there's plenty of other prospects that you're going to want to get first-end picks in. And that's the way to do it, is get in on that insider track. On top of that, you'll be able to ask us questions. You'll get a response in 24 hours normally. And you'll be able to get waiver wire rankings. You'll be able to get, it's the key facts that we think should be highlighted from the episode and so much more. So check us out. Links in the description below. And without further ado, Tom, how you feeling about Bryce Eldridge?
I love Eldridge. He's very interesting young prospect. He's a giant if you don't know about him. 6'7", 240, mountain of a man. On MLB's grade 2080 scale, 70 grade power, is a monster. Hit tool's only 50, but he's been working on it, man. In AAA, as Matt was talking about, got the batting average up, close to 270 at 268 over 39 games. Love to see that from him. And even his 3 years previous in the minors, over 290 every single year, has some upside. Kind of reminds me of like a lefty version of like an Austin Riley, right? Had the big power numbers in the minors, had some good, showed a pretty decent hit tool, was able to improve it. So I think Eldridge could be a 30, 35 home run guy. San Francisco's a hard park to hit home runs in, but the guy that has power like Eldridge could, easily do it. The counting stats going to depend on how good this team winds up being, but I think he could be a sneaky play for even batting average. He's the number 19 prospect in all of baseball. Once again, Bryce Eldridge, first baseman of San Francisco Giants. Love him. Big mountain of a man. Love to see a kid like this at, only 20 years old, 6'7", 240, hitting tanks like this. He's going to be a force in the league when he gets here. But let's move into a little bit of more pitching. Let's talk about Thomas White of the Miami Marlins. Another team, as we were talking about Chandler earlier, Thomas White, same thing. The Marlins develop pitching really well. Think Sandy Alcantara. Think of Yuri Perez. Just guys like that. They've done a good job, especially in recent years, just, taking talent, even Luzardo, taking talents from other teams, figuring things out. Matt and I have talked about it for years when Luzardo, the Marlins put the glasses on him, worked wonders. So they do little things like that to take their prospects to the next level. So Thomas White this year, high A, 8 starts, 2.90 ERA, 31 innings, 48 strikeouts, only 17 walks. I say only 17, but that's a lot for 31 innings, actually. 119 whip. Really, really high upside here. Has to get the control figured out. If he can keep those walks, to a limit, I think this kid has, sky high, upside. Has a good slider, which what he's really known for. A good fastball too. Averages, around 94. Tops out around 97, 98. That slider, as I mentioned, is really, really good. It's got a lot of spin, a lot of break. So if he just learns how to take these really good pitches and control them, we're going to be in for a really good starting pitcher. So Thomas White is somebody, maybe a September call-up, cup of coffee. I'd say this to you dynasty league players, if you could buy low on a guy like this, sneak him into a trade, that's going to be a good move because people might not be keen on the upside that Thomas White actually has there. Matt, you might be muted, brother.
Thank you, sir. That's a great point, is what I was saying. Targeting him in Dynasty League, I think, is key. As for stashing, no, but you need to be aware of him. He could be somebody that could be, an impact player. The fact that the ERA is down, the fact that, he's doing things and he's a guy that's a caper inning and then some, even in 24, when he had 120 innings to 190 to 96 strikeouts, like 120 strikeouts to 96 innings. Sorry, it is real key there. I don't really care about the whip because these are the kind of guys like you kind of want to target, the guys that have high strikeout numbers that keep the ERA down. This is just a factor of a guy that just strikes at everybody under the sun that just needs to work on their control, but at least they're not giving up home runs and runs. These are key things that I like about Thomas White. I'm going to get a high strikeouts. I'm going to get a good ERA output. And if my whip's a little high, it's a little high because I'm going to have all the other tangibles that kind of make me excited. Now, yes, he's going to be limited on the win side because he's going to be playing for Miami, unfortunately, but we'll see. There's also a world in a way where he gets traded and then he gets to a better pitching development aspect and we just get there faster. But I like Thomas White specifically in Dynasty Leagues. I think he can actually really pose some serious, future downlines versus like maybe an instant impact in a redraft and things like that, because that's where things kind of limited. But I would like to add him when he does get the call up just to see what that's going to be like, depending on the matchup. Like if he's going out against like the Dodgers, for instance, I ain't touching him with a 10-foot pole. But if he's going out against like, a mediocre team, like, somebody middle of the pack.
Rockies.
Yeah, or the Rockies just not at home.
Or the Rockies.
Yeah, I'm not really. I'm gonna obviously start him, but it's just one of those things. Let's move on. Let's talk about Justin Crawford.
Real quick, Thomas White's the number 31 prospect in all of baseball according to MLB.com. Just wanted to throw that out there for the people.
And I think he's like a top 5 pitching prospect, so he's up there. Justin Crawford of the Philadelphia Phillies playing, a whole bunch of different places. Specifically, I believe the outfield right now. He plays center field and left field. So he's good. He's a really good baseball player is what I'm going to compare him to. He's going to be a stolen base specialist that hits for average. That's just his profile, right? He's going to get on base. He's going to get driven in. He's going to steal bases. And that's really about it. And every once in a while, he'll chip you in a home run. For fantasy, I'm not really excited for him. I don't really think that he's going to be a real true contributor outside of stolen bases and batting average. At best, he's going to be in Arias at the outfield position, where every once in a while he'll chip in a home run. He's going to have a bolt. He's going to have a great batting average, but he's going to have the higher stolen base upside. For me, being on that team, I also don't see where he's going to come in for the run value because there's so many guys in that lineup between Stott, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Casti. I can name the whole lineup. He's going to hit anywhere from 9 to 7. And if he's hitting 9, I'll feel a little bit better about it because then there'll be some stolen base opportunity. But where I really see him slotting in is probably 8 or 7, and that really dilutes where he's going to be on the upside aspect of it. And, they may call him up soon to then be trade bait. So I think he's going to get showcased and traded as well. So when it comes to Justin Crawford, I'm really not keen on him for fantasy baseball, but he's going to be a really good prospect. So I guess the reason why he's being mentioned, at least for me, is I'm not running out and getting him at all unless I really need stolen bases. He's a guy that I'm going to let be on somebody else's team, or I'm going to add him and then trade him pretty much once he gets 3 stolen bases in a single week and bats for great batting average.
Before I jump in and give my take on Justin Crawford, and we actually get into some injured players that you need to stash like Dylan Crews and Verlander, we have those names and more coming up next. You ever check your bank account and wonder where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you just stop managing your money and start building your wealth. With their surprising insights, when I personally first started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. With their easy collaboration, managing your money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. And all right, I bet I'm going to beg to differ a little bit here on Crawford. I think there's a lot of upside here, right? We know the speed is kind of out of this world with 42 steals last year in 110 games, and 87 games the year before, 47 steals, and already 23 steals through 52 games this year. Don't think that one is anyone's debate in. Even the batting average over the last 3 years has shown a lot of improvement. 332 in 2023. That's over 87 games. 313 last year, over 110 games. 349 this year, and that's in AAA, all of those 52 games. The power's, not crazy. 9 bombs last year in 110 games, 3 bombs the year before in 87. He's a big boy, though, 6'2", 188 pounds. And let's not forget, Justin Crawford is the son of former Major League All-Star Carl Crawford, who played for Tampa, great player, gets the best training in the world because of his dad and the millions that he's made. I think if he can get a little bit of mass on him, he's 188 pounds. If he can get up to 200 pounds, maybe 10 to 15 homers isn't out of the question, but you're talking about a guy that's 50, 60 steal upside. And then if he can make his way into this Phillies lineup, you look at the outfield, Max Kepler's out there playing left. And you say, well, Dom, they want the lefty bat in the lineup. Well, guess what? Justin Crawford is a lefty too. So I think a kid that has this kind of upside, he's beating down the door, hitting over, 330. The 32-year-old Max Kepler kind of has to show out here. And otherwise, I think we could see Crawford at some point, not banking on it, but just remember the name just in case we do. But let's keep things pushing here because we kind of got to work through a lot of names in a short amount of time here. Dylan Crews, Washington Nationals. I almost said Commanders. Got football on the brain with football coming up here. But Dylan Crews, a young, interesting player, 11 steals, 15 RBIs, 7 homers, 24 runs. That's across 158 at-bats this year. The 196 batting average leaves a lot to be desired. But, think early Jazz Chisholm, right? He's got 20-20 upside in a decent lineup there with James Wood and them boys, performing. Could have, good run potential depending on where he hits in the lineup. The batting average, I don't know if he lives up to the hype in that department. If he can get to 240, 250 with 25, 90 runs, 75 RBIs, that's a great player. We'll take it, right? Maybe not as high as upside as we thought, but I still think he's going to be used for fantasy purposes. Outfield has been pretty tough. 54% owned on Yahoo, so is stashable. And what is that, 46% of leagues out there? So I like it. Give Dylan Crews a shot where he's available and you have the IL spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the batting average is obtainable, just not this year. Let's put it that way, right? Like adjusting to the bigs is pretty ugly. Even guys like Bobby Witt that were great batting average prospects batted 248, specifically him in his rookie year in a full first season. So, I mean, sometimes those things just don't translate over and over. But in a redraft league, when you're looking at this, don't expect it, especially for this year. But I mean, there's some upside. I mean, home run pace is pretty decent. Yeah, like 13 home runs. I could totally see that hit the 20. Stolen bases are outrageous. Points leagues, he might hurt you a little bit because he is chasing quite a bit. He's just trying to figure it out. He's whiffing about he's whiffing about 31% of the time, striking out 27% of the time, and only walking about 6.4% of the time. So those things are ugly. Launch angle is almost to the toilet. But what I do like is the average exit velocity sitting at 90 miles an hour. He is barreling 14.5% of the time. The expected slug is actually at 469, and the expected WOBA is at 343. So there's some better things, and even the expected batting average is actually more like a 258. So there's some positive signs in that where I'm like, okay, cool. Like Dylan Crews isn't really performing as bad as what the stat line is showing. So I'm not going to let that be the story that's told. But I like Dylan Crews as a prospect. I think he's going to turn it around. I think 13 more home runs is obtainable. I think decent runs and ribs. And I think a 240 batting average, I think, is definitely in the cards, which means for him to get to 240 batting average means a great second half once he returns. So I'm liking it more and more. So definitely stash him now. Let's move on. Let's talk about Justin Verlander. So this one's a little bit tough for me. Justin Verlander's struggling. He's obviously like 75 years old at 42 years old. He's a pitcher playing for the Giants right now. And, he has had a rough go this season, in all honesty. Like it's an ugly season. You look at it, right? He's pitched 52 innings. He has 41 strikeouts. He has a 4.33 ERA. Even his FIP is kind of ugly. Fielding independent pitching is at a 4.76. So it's not like it's better. He has a whip of, 1.404. And you look a little bit under the hood too, and it's just like, okay, every pitch he's throwing is flat. Expected ERA is in the 5, expected batting average is a 275. Fastball velocity is actually up a half a mile per hour, which is good, but he's giving up hard contact nearly 90 miles an hour. Not creating the chases enough. He's not whiffing guys. He's walking guys at an incredibly horrible rate. He's not even producing ground balls. But here's the deal. I will stash him the week they say that he's going to return. He needs one more rehab start. And the reason being is I'm going to sit on the name. And I'm going to say, okay, is it a cupcake matchup? Can I roll him out? Can I see, hey, what's the stuff look like? Is he still throwing that hard? That is where, like, I kind of want to see if he can kind of get a resurgence of Justin Verlander. Even if I can get a month out of him, I kind of want it, but I don't foresee him having the long-term value. And he's pretty much done after this year, regardless. I think he needs to retire. I think this will get pretty sad if he keeps going. So for me, with Justin Verlander, he's worth a shot just on the name value alone. And it's not like he's been a horrendous pitcher the last couple of years. It's just he hasn't been able to be the elite Justin Verlander of the past. But name does bring some sexiness to it, where I just want to try it out for a couple weeks.
Yeah, Matt, I want to preface this to everyone still listening at this point. It's tough right now with the injury stashes. Brandon Woodruff and Shane Bieber both had setbacks. Sherry Perez just made his way back already. So we're going through a little bit of lull here with these guys. Verlander's unfortunately one of the best options. I will say this, before he got hurt in his last start, his previous 5 before that, he looked pretty good. 29 innings pitched, 23 strikeouts. The whip was exactly 1 with a 2.76 ERA. So if he can even give you a little bit in stints, only 16% owned on Yahoo. Justin Verlander for your deeper league guys, where pitching is just abysmal. It's getting tougher and tougher to find pitching, in general right now at this point in the year. It will be diminished in the next month or two. So Verlander might be useful for some of you guys out there. Let's move on to this next guy, Sean Manaea. Another guy not blowing you away, New York Mets starting pitcher on his way back. In his last start, 3 earned runs, 4 hits, 2 strikeouts, 1.2 innings. He's got, I want to say, at least 4, maybe 5 more rehab starts left. Older pitcher, wily vet, expect a high 3s to low 4s ERA, around a K per 9, like a 1.20 whip. Once again, a name that's not going to blow you away, but for your deeper league players, a name that can get you some wins. You're at 36% owned. You might not be out there in too many NL onlys, maybe 1 or 2. And your 15 mans might be just the guy that you want to throw out there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Sean Manaea is somebody that how he performed last year is interesting. Like, I didn't see it coming. I don't think anybody did. Is it effective? Is it repeatable? Is the injury going to hamper his performance? That's something that we all have question marks about. I'm definitely going to stash him just based off of what he did last year and just see if we can kind of see him return to glory. If not, it is what it is. I don't really care. I'll just drop him like he's hot. But there is some upside. I actually liked him coming into the season before the injury. So we'll go from there. But let's move on. Let's talk about Max Scherzer playing for those Texas Rangers these days, starting pitcher. So he went down to some horrible, some stupid thumb injury, if I remember correctly. And his spring training was really nice. He was looking really good, really sharp. He was a guy that I said, hey, draft him at the end of your drafts and let's see what happens. Because if we can even get like a, 65% of what Max Scherzer has been his entire career, that is where, like, okay, we need to, get a piece of that. If he could sit in the high 3s ERA on like the sub 3 to low 3 ERA that he's had his entire career and get the strikeout numbers that I always think that he's capable of, then that is what I want. And I said Texas Rangers. He actually plays for Toronto Blue Jays. I'm way off tonight, but yeah, he's somebody that I truly like. I feel like has a little bit left in the tank. So what I'm doing is I'm going to stash him the second I hear he's already getting into like the last 2 rehab games. He's missed the whole entire season. So it's going to be multiple weeks, no matter what. I think it's after All-Star break. So we just need to wait maybe the All-Star week. That's when I'm throwing him on my IL if I have the spot. And then, wait to see. He could be a really nice boost to your rotation come second half.
Matt, great take. I don't really have much to add on Scherzer, except he's 32% owned on Yahoo. Let's sneak this last guy in real quick. Let's talk about Darvish. He basically see Justin Verlander, see Manaea, see Scherzer. They're all pretty much similar pitchers at this point in their careers with varying upside. Darvish going to throw a bullpen. As we're recording today, should have thrown it at this point. We should see some news upcoming. Once again, 36% owned on Yahoo. All of these guys are about the same percent owned. Real quick, for anyone still listening, you must be a fan. I'll prioritize them real quick. I'd probably go Verlander, Scherzer, Manaea, Darvish. Matt, you can give your take and get us out of here.
So in terms of pitchers, in terms of just IL guys, it's always Cruz for me. And
I guess I thought that was a given, but yeah, I go Cruz 1.
Cruz 1, Scherzer 2, Manaea 3, and then Darvish and then Verlander, because I think Darvish at least had a good season last year, unlike Verlander. So that's just how I would approach it, and we'll go from there. But guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to share this podcast, because we like bringing it every week, and we just want to grow so we can keep doing things. So also, help my wife stay off my back. But anyway, I love her. I'm kidding. But anyway, please share the show. And when you get a chance, leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening. And make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. And when you're done, check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB, who actually puts on some great coverage of real MLB coverage. So with that being said, guys, have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Yeah.